In the last couple of videos, I showed how I shot a landscape image in Ireland, how I processed the raw files in Lightroom Classic, and then how I did the finishing work in Photoshop. Today, we're going to complete this whole project and make a print order with a professional lab. I'll give you some tips along the way and also show you how I hang the print on the wall at the end. Hi, I'm Terry Vanderheiden, professional photographer, and today is the final step in the process of getting an image from the camera onto our wall. Once you've got your image completed in Lightroom and in Photoshop, you're ready to take the next steps. Now, if you just found this video and want to go back and catch up, I'll leave a link for the two previous videos about this project as well as the sample files in the description below. Now, some people like to do their own printing, but there's a lot of us that would rather have a professional lab make our prints for us. Now, I've always tried to live by the code of do what you do best and then hire what you don't do as well. I've consistently chosen to use a professional color lab to do my printing for me, and there are a few good reasons for that. The lab that I've worked with for over 40 years is Bay Photo. They're fast, professional, and I can count on their consistency. I'll leave a link in the description below. They're always having offers for new clients, and you might want to check it out and maybe take them up on one of their offers. Now, whether you choose Bay Photo or you have a professional lab that you already like, let me give you some reasons I use a professional lab instead of printing the images myself. First, I know that Bay Photo will do a professional job. The colors will be right as long as I do the little work and prep the image in advance, and I'm going to show you how I do that in just a minute. Second is the finishing. I don't want to buy all the equipment and try to mount and frame my prints myself. Since there are so many ways that you can ruin a print while you're mounting it, I'm not going to be starting to do that. Even if I was able to make a print perfectly the first time, every error I make in mounting would ultimately raise the cost of the print that hangs on the wall. I'd rather have the lab do the mounting and take the risk on that. Third is consistency. I know when I sell a print today and it hangs on a client's wall, others will come and see it and they may want a print. It could be weeks or months later that I need to place a duplicate order, and I know that using a lab like Bay Photo, the reprints and the mounting will look identical to the first one. Lastly, I like to offer different mounting substrates. In fact, on this print, I'm going to have it printed on metal with that high glossy, high-end look. I don't want to attempt to start printing on metal, especially at the size I'm going to be making this. So let's go into the Bay Photo website and see how we can order this print. So let's start off by going to the Bay Photo website. We'll click here. And what we're going to do is look for metal prints because I'm going to have this printed on metal. So we go in here to order. And it comes up with this screen of different sizes. But you know, I'm not positive of the exact size that I need yet. And this has a tool in it that's really helpful for putting together your particular image in a room. So we come over here and we go over to the thing called walls. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a picture of the wall that we want, and we can just simply do it with our cell phone, do a couple of measurements and put that information into this. So let me show you how I take the picture that we actually put into this to represent our wall. So what I want to do is I want to take a picture. I just use my cell phone, nothing special. I'm going to take a picture back here of the wall so we can use that in our design. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a shot of this whole area, kind of include the wall and definitely include the large chair. You don't need a special image or high quality, just the phone will do fine for getting your design set up. I'm going to take a tape measure and measure something that's consistent here. So this will be this large chair. I'm going to go ahead and measure the top of this. And I try to do it as close to the wall as possible so that I can have it as accurate as possible. So this looks like it's going to be about 39 inches across the top here. So that is a number that I can plug into the software so I can figure out exactly the size that I'm looking for. So the picture's all done, put it and it's in my computer here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to upload a picture here. And we're going to go to upload your room. And we're going to go find that picture. There it is right there. That's the one that we took of that room, of that wall. We'll upload it. We like that how it looks. We'll click upload. Now what we need to do is, this is the measurement tool. Remember we took the measuring tape and we measured how big that part of that chair was. So we're going to drag this down here and then drag this one down to this side. So that kind of spans the width of this chair. And we're going to tell it that it was 39 inches. So let's save it with the new measurements. So what that does is that tells Bay how big that wall is. It gives us a really good idea of what the size is on this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to walls and we're going to upload our image, and it's all measured. You can see here, if we start with an 8x10, this is the image right here, how an 8x10 would look on that wall, but we're going to do quite a bit bigger. So let's scroll down a little bit and we're going to go to 40x60, and we can see that we can move this around, and truthfully, we don't want it as a vertical. We're going to make it a horizontal. We'll rotate the canvas. And now we can see we can move this around. Now at 60x40, I think it's a little too wide here. I think that's going to be kind of maybe coming in contact with anybody that sits in this chair. So I want to make this a little smaller. So what I'm going to have to do is come over here to a custom size. So let's go in here and we're going to say the width is 60, of course. And then we're going to type in, let's see, let's make it 5 inches smaller. Let's make it 35. So now you can see here that this image is now 60x35, and that actually looks pretty good. So that helps us quite a bit in our design. So let's go ahead and go back into Photoshop and do a couple of other things to it. Inside Photoshop here, we're going to go to the crop tool, and instead of having it, we're going to leave it by inches, but we're going to go 60 wide and 35 high at 300 dpi. And this is how we're going to crop this. So let's get it to the point of where we like this. That's good. We'll hit crop. And when we hit crop, it's going to actually crop it, but also make it that actual size. So we'll go up to image and we'll go to image size. Come over here, we can see inches. It's 60x35 at 300 dpi. So that's exactly what we want. Now what we have to do is we have to kind of consider a couple of parameters that Bay Photo is going to ask of us to make sure that our image is correct. So like most labs, they're going to have information available to you. And I encourage you, if you use Bay, get this site here. But if you use another lab, make sure you find out what are the parameters that they're looking for in order to make your print the best. You want it to look the way you're expecting it to look. So the way you do that is you go in and you say, how do I prepare my files? So one of the things that they want is they want it in a JPEG, a TIFF, or a PNG. We're going to choose JPEG for this event. And we see here that the bit depth must be 8-bit. So let's go into our picture and we'll go into image and go into mode, come down here and say, okay, now we're going to change it to 8-bit. So that looks good. And as we scroll a little bit farther down on their site, they have information that you put into Photoshop to make sure that your color settings are correct. And they say you can use sRGB or you can use Adobe RGB 1998. So Adobe RGB 1998 is what I work in. So I'm going to switch it to make sure it's on that and make these parameters. I'm going to fill these things exactly how it's supposed to be set up. The way you do that, you go into Photoshop, go to Edit, come all the way down to color settings. And this dialog box comes up with color settings. Our RGB is correct at 1998. We're going to make sure this is set to convert to RGB, working RGB, convert to CMYK, and convert to gray. And then all of these little check boxes are marked. Ask when opening, ask when pasting, ask when opening for missing profiles. So that way everything is consistent. So we're going to say okay. Now we've got our image the way we want it. We got it the right size. We've got it at 8-bit like it's supposed to. So now we're going to save it. So we're going to go into File, Save As, Save a Copy As, and we're going to put it in this same folder. Now, this is how the naming structure is set so far. Let's change that to TV 510, and we're going to make sure this is 60x35. So that just kind of reminds us that this is a 60x35 print. And we're not going to save it as a Photoshop file. We're going to save it as a JPEG. And the one thing you want to make sure you check is embed color profile. See this little box? That needs to be checked. You check that. That way that information that we've already put in that corresponds to what Bay is looking for is going to be inside of this file. So let's go ahead and hit save. We always want to do maximum on our quality. Hit OK. So now let's go ahead and get back into Bay Photo and place our order. So we like this size. Now we just need to upload a photo. So we're going to go in here, and this is the actual photo that you're going to have printed. So let's go ahead and click on it. We'll wait till the little timing clock is done. Now we'll hit upload. You can see it's sitting right there, and we'll hit the word upload down here. This is all inside of the Bay Photo website. So we're uploading our file that we created in Photoshop or finished in Photoshop, and now we're going to upload it. So now we have our image here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over to walls, make sure that our room is set up. We're going to tag this here. We're going to come over to custom size. I'm going to put in our 60 by 35. And look at that. It shows us exactly where our image is, right? Look at this. We can just move that around and see how that's going to look on the wall. So it's going to be over that chair. It's going to be high enough that it's not going to be in anybody's way. Looks spectacular. I think this is fantastic. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and place the order, and we're going to get one. And what we want to do is there's a couple things we want to do. Do we want to have sharp corners around it? You know what? I'm going to go with sharp corners. The surface is going to be high gloss. We're going to go with our sharp corners. And I think we're good to go on all that. And all we're going to do is add this to the cart, and we'll be good to go. So we've placed our order with Bay, and now we just have to wait for the print to come back, and then I'll show you how I hang it on the wall. If you're enjoying this kind of content, hit the like button and tell others about it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon so you'll be notified of my next video when it's released. I always read and respond to all the comments, so feel free to leave a question, suggestion, or feedback in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Now, your ideas often inspire future videos, so keep them coming. You can also reach out to me directly through my email address at terry@imagelight.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions, and you'll be added to my mailing list, and I'll let you know about the video releases that way. All right, we got our print in back from Bay Photo, so let me go ahead and open this up. So here's our print. We like it. Everything looks really good. Bay Photo did a fantastic job with this. So what I want to do is I want to take the back of the print, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to hang it. So when this is taut, this is about how much distance we'll have. So let's go ahead and measure from the top edge of the print down to the wire, and we're looking at about 9 inches. This is the tool that I use for hanging my prints. It's a level that has these little marking areas built into it that are movable. So what I'll do is I'll come over to the back of the print and hold this up to about where I'm going to have it hold. And I can see that this is probably going to be, maybe about on 8 and on 8. So this is how far this is away. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's going to be just about right. So when I go to hang this, I know that I'm going to be able to make my marks inside of here. So let me get a ladder and set that up. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out where the center of the wall is where this print's going to hang. So what I'll do is I'll come up here, and I'll just measure between these two beams. I'm kind of lucky that these beams are here because it'll give me an opportunity to figure out where the center is. And the center is 22.5. That's right there. We can come down, and I can mark that right there. That's the center of where the print's going to hang. So now what I'm going to do is take my trusty level that I've measured already on the back of the print, and I'm going to put this up on the wall, take my little pencil, come on up here. All right, so I put this on the wall, I put the level on the wall, I hold it against the wall, make sure it's tight, and then I can just make a little crosshair inside these marking tools. And now I know that these are the 2 points where I'm going to want to put my hangers. All right, so this is the hanger that I use. This is a typical hanger. It's a mirror hanger or a picture hanger. And what happens is the nail goes at an angle, and this area rests against the wall. So it actually creates a lot of strength right here so that the print doesn't fall off the wall. Because if you were just to take a nail, and even if you hammered it in an angle, over time it could work its way down and then your print could fall. And you know, we spend a lot of money on these prints. We don't want them to fall on the ground or even hit one of our guests. So this is a tool that I think is really good. It's very inexpensive. It holds a lot of weight, and this is what I use when I'm hanging my prints. So when I hung these, you might have noticed that I started the nail up a little bit higher than what we actually would put the hanger at. But the marks that we put in, that's where the hanger goes. This is where the loop goes. That's where the wire's gonna go. That's where we did all our measuring from. So this nail doesn't need to be in that hole. It needs to be above it so that it'll actually land right on that same mark. So now we know those two hangers are level, and now all we have to do is put the print up. So if you're in a gallery and you're seeing anybody move prints around, you're never going to see them doing it with their bare hands. They're always going to use some sort of a glove. So I just bought some inexpensive cotton gloves off of Amazon so that we could put our print up without having any smudges get on it from our fingerprints. So it's a really simple way to go. It's inexpensive, and I would encourage you to use some sort of glove when you're hanging your prints. So what I like to do is just kind of, if you don't have somebody there to eyeball it, just to make sure that it's level, and it is, which is great. You also have the ability, when you have two wire hangers, you can move this left or right to center it however you want, because you've got more space because of that with those two hangers. You got a lot more freedom with two hangers than you do with one, so I always use two. So now that the print is hung, I really recommend having some light on the print. A lot of times people will hang a print on the wall, and that's fine, but you gotta make sure there's light on the print. What I did is I went to Lowe's and got a fairly inexpensive run of 3 little LED lights, plugged them in, hooked it up to a switch that I had here already, and it really makes the print stand out by having light on it. And when your guests come over to visit, it's gonna just showcase your print like that by having some lights on it. So that wraps up this video presentation, broken into 3 videos to show you how I shoot the photograph, how I get it into Lightroom, and what kind of work I do on Lightroom, what kind of work I do in Photoshop, and then printing the image from a professional lab, and then getting it actually on my wall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.